Semillon, very underripe at the moment. We've still got another month, another 6 weeks or so until it really starts to ripen up. At the moment, very tart, very green, all full of acidity and no sugar. But Semillon is great for making sweet wine because when it's mature and when it's ripe, it's a very, very thin-skinned grape variety. And what happens is in that misty, humid, damp conditions of early morning, as we talked about the convergence of those two rivers, what happens is in a very misty atmosphere like this, there's a fungal rot which affects these grapes. It's called Botrytis cinerea, or more commonly known noble rot. So what noble rot does is it covers the outside of the grape, and it puts tiny little perforations in the skin of the grape, and what happens is the grape naturally starts to dehydrate. So the grapes end up quite shriveled, quite raisin-like, and really inside that all you have is just really super sweet, concentrated, sugary grape juice. The problem with it is that it doesn't develop in a very uniform manner. So what you might have is on a bunch of grapes like this, you might have 10 or 20 berries that actually start to get the botrytis. So the trick for the winemaker and for the people managing the vineyards is what they want to do is they only want to take those very, very rotten grapes. So what they'll have to do is they'll have to come through the vineyard literally with a pair of tweezers, inspecting each bunch and just picking off the very, very botrytis affected grapes. A couple of weeks later or a couple of days later they might come back and some of the other grapes have started to rot as well. So what happens is that they need to go through the vineyard over several times. We call them trees, so they need to come through the vineyard on several different trees, inspecting the bunches and just taking off those rotten berries. At a place like Château-Yquem, for example, which has 80 hectares which are under vine and are used to produce wine, they might have to go through the vineyards up to 10 times. So that will be hand-picking, individually selecting berries from the equivalent of an 800-hectare vineyard. When you're only getting a shriveled berry with a tiny bit of juice out, the yields in vineyards in Sauternes are very, very low. On average, probably in Bordeaux, in red Bordeaux, the best quality wines are making hectares of around 40, maybe 30 to 40 hectolitres per hectare. In places like Sauternes, maybe some of the biggest chateaux might be making up to 20 hectolitres per hectare, but at a place like Yquem, they might be down to something like 5 to 9 hectolitres per hectare. So that's not an awful lot of juice out of your vineyards. They tend to say that in Sauternes, one vine will make one glass of wine. Usually in the rest of Bordeaux, one vine will make an entire bottle of, say, red wine. But in Sauternes, it's just one vine that makes one glass. So that's one of the reasons that the wines